No Addiction speaking here, and in today's video we're going to talk about I almost quit my 9 to 5 job because of my gambling addiction. So pretty much when you're suffering from a gambling addiction, you're going through a lot of things. You have a lot of things going through your head. You're in different emotional states throughout the day. You're feeling some type of way. You don't even know why you're doing what you're doing, but you continue to do it and you're continuing to do it. But of course, you're going to need something to fund that. So in order to have something to fund that, you have to have place where you work at. Pretty much you got to have some source of income, whether it's like a monthly type of income, whether it's a weekly type of income, whether it's maybe just a regular paycheck, or whatever type of sources of income or however you get your money. You're going to need a way to fund this habit. It's a very, very expensive habit, and it's a point that it'll get you in debt. It's more expensive than any other bill that you will ever have, really. And the thing is, like, at work, using this money that I'm working hard for, I understand that I used to work hard jobs, like warehouse jobs, to the point where and another at the hospital. So I'm gonna tell you about the two different scenarios. At the warehouse job, I was going hard. Like I had to lift like almost 80 something pound boxes with another partner, but it was repetitive, almost like 200 of those, 200 of those a day with the machinery and stuff like that. So it was a very non-climate controlled environment as well. But it wasn't just like extremely hot, but we had fans, whatever. But just knowing that we had really hard jobs at that point in time. I had a really hard job, but we got paid weekly, and I was always using the money. As soon as I would use the money to go and gamble. I always get the money and I would go straight to gambling. I was, okay, yeah, we having fun. I'm gonna be good enough for the turn off, gonna double this. Sometimes it did work. We had real fun. So that's the messed up part about it, though, is when it works, it make you feel so good. It make you feel like you did something. You feel like, oh yeah, man, I probably can keep on doing this. But you get to the point where you end up losing it. And then you end up losing it, and when you get behind, that's when it really just messes everything up. And you be at work thinking about it. That was the worst part about it for me. You be at work thinking about all the time that you spent at work busting your behind, especially if you did overtime, and then you lose it in so little time. So you've been spent about what 40 to 50 hours that week working to make that money, and then you go in there and mess it over in like 2 or 3 hours in the night, sometimes even shorter than that, depending on your bids and stuff. See, me, I played on the fish tables. I played in a type where I was sometimes I was bidding high, 30 cent a push, or some 30 cent a tap, sometimes with 50 cent a tap, and sometimes they got up to the point where in my glory days I'd be doing $2 or $3 a tap on the bonus rounds to really try to make some bank. But hey, the higher the bid, the faster the money goes. And 1 week, it was like a consecutive. I had a real bad losing streak, and it was to the point where I was like, okay, I'm just getting so tired. I just kept betting my paycheck money. See, at first it was okay because okay, I feel like I'm gonna get it back. But then it got to the point after I went and got the payday loan, and I got too deep into it. It started really weighing on me. I was like, dang, I'm at work and you doing all this work, and you thinking like, dang, you behind. You didn't bust your behind for 50 hours, so you feel stupid because you didn't bet all this money, and it's gone in like 2 hours. So you didn't work for like 60 hours, and it's all gone in them 2 hours that you was at the game room. Nothing to show for it at all. Didn't get no groceries, didn't get none of the toiletries, didn't get any type of essentials, none of that stuff. It was really just up in smoke. That's what it really felt like. It felt like I just went up there to the casino and just threw it in the trash can and walked away. To be honest, I would have wasted less time if I would have did it, if I would have done that, or at least I would have known where the money's going at, instead of this predatory type institution. But that's what it felt like. So it really felt like, dang, what am I here for? I'm at work and I'm sitting there working, and it just felt like I was just working for nothing. So the whole shift just became lackluster. It's like I was just at work, just working, emotionless. Just like I was a shell of a body there at work, and wasn't even really there at work because I done lost my money. And I was thinking like, dang, is this going to be a repeated cycle? Like this happened for like 3 weeks consecutively for me. So I'm looking at, dang, like what am I supposed to be doing? What am I here for? So it got to the point where I stayed at home one day, and I was like, man, I wanted to call out for a couple of days. I was like, man, because deep down in my mind, I was like, man, I'm quitting, man. I'm tired of this. I didn't work my job. I have nothing to show for it. Thousands of dollars down the drain and nothing there. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, I still need to have money to go through life and actually, cooperate. But it seemed like what it is during the week, you have everything planned out. You'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do right this time. Especially after you done messed up that one time, you're like, okay, I'm not doing this again. I'm gonna make sure I do this. So you always end up having like a game plan. But it seemed like once you done lost the money, you working throughout the week, okay, you good, you motivated, you good, whatever. As soon as the paycheck come, it's like all that thought process, all the plans you had, the whole blueprint, the whole plan just go out the window. It just all go out the window. As soon as the money touch my hand, the blueprint go out the window. All the plans, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do right this time, I'm gonna do right next time. As soon as the money hit my hand, I gotta make up for what I lost last week. Oh no, I got this. All of a sudden, you got this whole new agenda of how you're gonna go back to the casino. The thing that put me in the same place, in the same mind state that I was in, and I was thinking about trying to turn it around by going to put my money on the line once again. And guess what? That's what started that perpetual cycle and those 3 consecutive weeks of losing streaks, because I just couldn't accept the fact that I lost. So I was chasing those losses because I tried to make up for the last loss and end up getting in an even deeper hole. So it got to the point where I'm just never going to be able to get the money back because it's not meant for you to get it back. But I was delusional thinking that I could just get it back. So I kept going, and it got to the point where like, man, I really was like contemplating about to quit. So I was sitting at home. I called out for about like 2 or 3 days. Like that, that was really unlike me to really call out for work, because I was just bad. I just felt bad about losing the money. I felt bad about losing the money. I didn't want to go to work. The very thing that was giving me the money, funding me the money to go and gamble, I just feel like, because it gets to the point where money feel like nothing to you at this point. And it's not even in a good way where it's nothing to what you're so financially well off that, you got to the point where you just, I got so much disposable income. It's like nothing I can just throw it on this and burn it out on this. It wasn't that type of that. It was like nothing as in, I didn't really see the point of it because I never used it for what it was intended purposes was. I never used it to help me out. I never used it for something that was important. So I was just literally throwing it away and wasting it. Didn't really see the value of the money because I was never doing anything that had anything to show for it. So why would I have to go to work and earn any more money because I'm not using it? I'm broke anyway, even when I get the money at the end of the week. Because me, I had it so bad to the point where I just wasn't satisfied until like every last dollar was gone. I'm thinking like, and even when it's get to the point where, okay, say for instance, if I get like a $900 or $1,000 check that week, especially usually when it's overtime, I'll say I probably have to get like 10 or 12 hours of overtime, probably like 52 hours that week or something like that. So something along them lines. It's not exact, but you know what I mean. It's in that territory. So I do that. And like the further I get down, I'll be like, say for instance, I had that $1,000 and I get down to about 300 and I'll be lost about 700 and be like, damn, I get to the 300. Instead of my mind process thinking, or before I get to about the 500 mark, I'm like, I'm just going to take my money and just, leave it alone and go. No, because I'm mad about the 500 I just lost. I'm mad about the 200 I just lost. So that is a continuous cycle with that money till they get all the way down to the last 100. You'll be like, man, I wish I need to do that. And then what I usually do is try to up my bid so I can get big money, so I can try to win back the big money. But usually it just zaps down a little bit of money that I have left faster than when I first started. So I never started off big. I started off small and ended up losing that. I win up, lose, and it always just end up trickling down. And then I'll lose all the money, get down to my last bit to where I can like take something, at least get some groceries, at least get something, and then leave with nothing and looking stupid and mad and just aggravated with that I lost my whole week's paycheck with that one session being in there at this casino. So that's what made me contemplate quitting my 9-to-5 job, because it was stressful. What am I here for? What am I here for? That's what I felt like. What am I going to be there for if I'm not using this money for anything? It was another time when I was working my hospital job. This made it even worse, because at this job I was paid bi-weekly. So it wasn't like this job, it was paid every week. So when I got the bi-weekly check, and at this point in time, I was making less than when I made at the warehouse. I worked at the warehouse after I worked at the hospital. So the hospital, I was working there first. So bi-weekly, the check was a little bit smaller. So I'll say every 2 weeks, like I was making about 8 something. So about the price so I get in 1 week. I never broke 1,000 at the hospital. I never broke 1,000, even in those 2 weeks. And then we didn't have overtime. See that the company we was working for, even if we got overtime, it wasn't time and a half. It was just adding up the hours, which was highway robbery when you look at the whole picture. Now that I look back on it, because I was getting paid like 11 something an hour at that point in time. It was some time ago, but I remember that I ended up losing that whole check. And think about that. Think about me working for those next 2 weeks, doing all the overtime, doing all that walking, doing all that work, and I had to wait for the next 2 weeks thinking about that. So twice a month I would be in stress, and by that time I'll be like, okay, we good. I'm gonna win this money back. But I had 2 weeks of sorrow, 2 weeks of having to wonder why and coming up with a game plan. The first week I'll be kind of down. Then the second week, because the closer you get to the point with a payday, the better you feel, because you'll be like, okay, yeah, the first week you kind of mad, but the second week you got the game plan. Like I said before, you got a game plan how you gonna do right, how you gonna do okay. As soon as the money hit your hand, you do the same thing again. That's what it was. And then on top of that, not doing the same thing, I was so unsatisfied that I was like, dang, with 2 weeks, it was more stressful. So that's when the payday loans was really like my best friend, but it really wasn't my best friend, really my worst enemy, because it just made it feel like I had money in between those pay periods that I didn't really have. And I was really just putting myself in a deeper hole. But it didn't look like that at that time, because when the money is hitting your hand, you don't care about what's going on after. You just worrying about what's happening right then and there. So that caused stress for that. That caused me stress that I didn't even want to go to work there. I was just walking around like a ghost in a shell there, working and working. It got to the point where I just didn't have any emotion working there. I don't know if other people notice, I kind of put on a little facade because, especially in that environment, you going around guests and be around other people. But like when I was alone walking the hallways, I was a trash tech too. So I worked there. I was doing EVS, environmental service. I was cleaning up around and taking out the trash and stuff on all the different floors. So you usually be alone a lot, walking down those hallways, thinking about all the money I lost. The whole thing that was on my mind for those whole 2 weeks was thinking about hitting it big on the bonuses. I'm talking about, like, my mind was constantly on that. But it got to the point where that was just destroying me. And then it got to the point where I started playing the mobile games, and I was at work. I'm at work. I'm holding the card in one hand, and I'm holding the game in another hand, betting my money. I'm talking about I just got paid on the paycheck, and I'm betting the money before I even get off the work for the shift. And think of playing your money and then losing the majority of your money before you get off on that payday, and you still got hours and hours of that shift to work. It'll get to the point where I will leave home early because of that and feel bad because of that. So it was crazy, man. This thing had a hold on me for real. Had a hold on me. I had it so bad. It was terrible. So I know a lot of people that probably had this same problem with gambling addiction as well, and just really wanted to share it because, hey, I almost quit my job because of it. So you get to the point where you just don't see the purpose of having a job, don't have to see the purpose of having income, because it's just not going anywhere. You don't have anything to show for it. You keep beating yourself up about it. Like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing that? You're addicted. You don't understand why. You know that it's bad for you, but at the same time, it's like, you think about it. The only rational thoughts you have is when you don't have money in your hand. When you don't have money to fund the addiction, that's when your mind is in the best place. That's when your mind is thinking rationally then. That's when you're thinking the best thoughts. Oh, this is for me. That is the best mind state you're in, because you can't fund it. But you think about all the good things, and, even if it's like you're the perfect being at that point in time, almost. Like, mentally, you're there. You're rationally thinking. But as soon as the money hits your hand, it's like all the programming is just gone. It's the program is beginning. Okay, we need to make more. We get in a serious state of perpetual unsatisfaction, financial unsatisfaction. We're unsatisfied with our circumstances, so we just need to turn it around. All of a sudden, all those losses that you had suddenly hit your head. You ain't thinking about that when you ain't got the money to fund it, because you can't do anything about it. You see what I mean? You can't do anything about it then. But when the money hit your hand, now all of a sudden, I got to go do this. I got to do that. I need to go and try to get this money back. So that's how it was for me. It's like everything was good when I didn't have the money to play. As soon as I got the money to play, it was on and popping. It was macaroni time. So that's how it was for me. So that's the struggle that I had, and that's how I almost quit my 9 to 5, because of my gambling addiction, guys. And hopefully, if any of this helped you in any certain type of way, you click the like button, subscribe, and comment and stuff like that. I know I've been going for a while, but definitely gonna keep back posting. I just can't make any promises, but it's just I thought about it, and since I'm not gambling anymore, it's kind of hard to just be like, okay, I'm talk about it. But I'll be seeing a whole bunch of stuff, so I definitely want to address it as well and talk about other things as well as So definitely want to be here. But remember, guys, a gambler never wins until they quit. I'm out.